So I don't know if there's ever been a time where a Marvel and DC property coming out at the same time actually benefited DC than Marvel. Normally, anytime that happens, DC will move or the Marvel movie will get more play than the DC title. In this scenario, with the Penguin and Agatha All Along coming out in the same week, really back to back. Agatha All Along is on Wednesdays. The Penguin looks like it's on Thursdays weekly. The Penguin's going to get more play. It's not for everybody because it is more of an adult show, and Agatha All Along also is more in the adult realm for a Marvel property, but The Penguin is just a much better show. It's following off from The Batman, which I think is awesome. You're getting a continuation from that film, and you're seeing the after effects of that really like a week after that movie ends is where this show begins. And it's really about Penguin's rise to power. We're seeing all of that. So by the time the Batman 2 comes out, whenever that happens, which I guess is supposed to be next year, Penguin will already be the Penguin we know and, mostly love at the height of his power, the real Penguin at that point. And the start of this show was already doing that. What I love is that the show, the episode is over an hour long for episode 1, and it's fantastic. You get introduced to a number of characters. You get an understanding of what Oswald Cobblepot is going to be into. You meet his mom, who really is a driving force of more or less the reason he does what he does and keeps doing what he's doing, which is odd, but it's also like kind of cool to see that dynamic between the two. And then Victor, who's a character that more or less becomes his right-hand man in the worst way for Victor, but Victor kind of takes it and runs with it. And then the Falcone family, what they're going through after Carmine Falcone is murdered by the Riddler and the Batman. You're seeing kind of the power struggle within that. And then you see a sister that comes into play. She was in Arkham at one point. It's just so many aspects to the show that work. It has a feel of the Batman. So there's that continuation in tone and cinematography within this show as well. It just all works. And especially how the show starts. It starts with you seeing that, Penguin isn't always all there. Like he's got this drive. He's got this ambition. He wants to be on top. But he's also a little nutty. And you see that with the interaction he has with Carmine's son, Alberto Falcone, in the beginning of the show. I'm not going to spoil it because this is no spoilers as far as this review, but you got to watch it. There are some moments that are, a little risque, a little bit of nudity in one moment, just mostly language throughout the show. So it is not for kids. Don't have your kids watch it. If you like the Batman, this is an R-rated version of that. That movie felt like it could have been R-rated. It just doesn't have any language, and the violence isn't that visceral where it needs to be R-rated, so they got away with the PG-13 rating. I'm sure they have an R-rated version out there. This is the R-rated version of the Batman with no Batman, which is fine. You don't need him. This show is about the Penguin. I liked seeing what they did with the Penguin in the show Gotham on the CW. I thought that was cool because you're also seeing a lot of other characters become the villains that, we know from the comics when they're at the height of their power, or at least close to that. The Penguin in that show I thought was great. I felt like he got more limelight on his overall story than the likes of the Riddler or Solomon Grundy, even, to an extent, Batman himself. Obviously, the Joker gets, the most headline moments in that show, or at least both versions they kind of do of that. But Oswald's story I thought was actually really well thought out and well delivered. This is a different version of that. I like it because it feels more almost like a Sopranos. There's almost this Game of Thrones vibe to it as well. In the midst of how you have these families, the Falcones, the Salvatore Maroni, just all these different factions that are kind of trying to go at taking over Gotham now that, the Riddler's done what he's done. The city's been flooded. Not the entire city. There's still areas that are not flooded. So there's this drug game that they're trying to all kind of control. And Penguin's kind of in the middle of it where he can kind of choose sides where he wants to go to eventually rise up and take over. But Falcone's daughter is in the mix, and she is really kind of jacking things up for him. So the first episode, so much happens in the first episode, and it's so thrilling and connects you so quickly that when it ends, you're like, holy crap, that was episode 1. There's like 8 episodes in the show, so at least in this season. So I'm already hooked. I'm in. This is going to be awesome. Agatha All Along had some moments there, but that was 2 episodes, and it took forever to get to where I wanted to get to. And it could have been 1 episode. This was 1 episode with so many things happening, and you're connected to it all. You want to see what's going to happen next. You want to see how the Penguin's going to talk his way out of a situation. There's so many moments in this first episode where you feel like, oh, is this it for Penguin? Is he going to get caught? But knowing what ends up being the end game for Penguin, you still feel like something bad's going to happen to him. And a few things do. You still feel this this essence of, oh my God, this is the first episode. What else is going to happen in these future episodes that could top this? And I love that. Again, it's in the Batman universe, so I'm already hyped about that we're getting more of this, because I really want the Batman 2. And this is supposed to be, again, feeding into the Batman 2 towards the end of this. So it starts a week after the Batman, and it's going to go into, or at least end by the time we get into the Batman 2. So all still flows together. Could they do this with other characters? Absolutely. They could, and I think they should. If they want to kind of keep this train rolling, unless they're trying to kind of get this trilogy out of the way and then just really focus on the DCU Batman once we see him, whenever that is. I can see them doing that too. They always say they don't want to like really confuse people, but they'll do it with Superman, but they won't do it with Batman, which is weird. Either way, this episode was amazing. I really enjoyed it. Again, I'm still watching Agatha all along. I'm still going to kind of keep going with it for the most part. This one I'm actually excited for, and I've been looking forward to this for a minute, ever since the first trailer. I only watched that first trailer. I watched nothing else because I wanted to just get enthralled in the story and the characters that they introduce us to. And all the actors do a great job as well. So if you're really into the Batman, you'll be into this. Again, not for kids at all, but it is a very enthralling show that I think, again, it's just getting started, and there's so much that happens in this first episode. I really, really enjoyed it. And again, it's Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I know it's him, and I still watched. I'm like, who is this guy? There's some new actor that's playing this character, because it doesn't feel like Colin Farrell. There's some moments where it does, like just as far as like Colin Farrell's acting style, where he acts a lot with his eyes, I've always noticed. And in this one, it's fantastic. Like, there's so many moments where there's no dialogue. It's just you seeing like he's thinking. You kind of know what's going on in his head. And then something happens. You're like, oh, what? Yep. Like, he's thinking about this situation, or he's trying to figure out what to do next. I love that. And it's a difference from what we're seeing, especially in Agatha all along, but even other MCU shows. They don't take the time for you to really invest into the characters in that way. They always have to say something or quip or whatever. In this show so far, you got Penguin where he won't even say a word in some cases, and you just know there's something going on up there. Like, I wonder what it is, and sometimes you may have an idea of what it is. There's one thing in the beginning on stairs, and you see, it's just these looks he makes, and you understand, oh, he's not about to do what he's trying to do. He's going to make this a little easier for himself. That's all I'll say. Just watch it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But again, there's a lot of moments like that within the show, and a lot of different character moments, and you want to see more of these characters. You want to see more of what happens in this story. Overall, I'm excited for it. If you've watched it, hopefully you are too. If you have watched it, let me know your thoughts in the comments of the show, and also of my review. What do you think of my thoughts on the show, The Penguin, so far? But I do want to know your thoughts, and if you're excited for what's next. So thanks for watching. Thanks for spending some time with me real quick. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoy spending time with you guys. As always, check out the description for more information on the equipment I use if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.